Can Google Stadia run on the Xbox Series X? Well, on today's show, we answer that question, and hopefully don't rip a hole into the space-time continuum that will likely usher us into the dark timeline. Because let's be clear, the impact that cloud gaming has on the video game universe is something that we know frighteningly little about.
Are you listening?
Welcome to the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant, and today's show is completely unnecessary, but I wanted to do a test to see if I could get Google Stadia to run on the Xbox Series X. And recently, I was able to secure one of the Xbox Series X consoles, so I am hyped to see everything that this console can do. But for me, one of the first things that I wanted to accomplish was to see if the world's most powerful video game console can run Google Stadia. So obviously, we aren't able to download a Stadia app from the Microsoft Store like you would with Netflix, Hulu, or Disney+. So in order to play Stadia, we will need to open Xbox's Edge browser, which will work just like a desktop PC. And then we will go to stadia.com, and once there, we will log into our Stadia account, and boom! We're in. Now, after being signed in, I immediately noticed an issue because outside of the Stadia home menus, my Xbox controller wouldn't control the games. The controller would move the cursor, but only partially on the upper half of my TV. And that's when I discovered that you need to press the hamburger option button on the Xbox to enable the controller mode. But this did cause another issue as the button mapping was totally off. And in any game that I played, the B button was also the menu, which led to countless missteps and deaths. However, with Stadia having their own controller, another workaround for this is that I busted out my Stadia controller, connected it to the Wi-Fi, and typed in the corresponding code that was located in the Stadia menu. And after that, I was immediately able to play video games running on Stadia, just like I would be able to if I were playing Stadia on PC or a laptop, thus creating one of the most expensive Chromecasts that I have ever owned. Now, obviously, the big question here is, why the hell would you want to play Stadia on your Xbox? And outside of the simple,
I want to watch the world burn.
there are a couple reasons. Like, you have a few games on Stadia that aren't available on Xbox. Games like 9 to 5, Outcasters, Crata, Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battles, and my personal 2021 Game of the Year, Young Souls, are on Stadia, yet they have not had the opportunity to come to Xbox yet. But also, for someone who primarily games via cloud gaming, I'm constantly looking for that ultimate place to play that will run every cloud gaming platform that I use. Because as a Stadia player, my library has over 120 games. So to be able to access those games that I already own and not have to rebuy them on Xbox is pretty cool and appealing. Plus, one of the major differences between Xbox Game Pass and Stadia Pro is that games eventually leave Game Pass. Whereas with Stadia Pro, when I claim a game, I have that game for the life of my subscription. So I can continue to play it whenever and wherever I want, even on my Xbox Series X. And something that I do want to point out here is there is a major difference between playing Stadia on Xbox when connected to Wi-Fi versus being hardwired directly into your router. Even though my Xbox Series X was less than 6 inches away from my router, the gameplay was kind of choppy when connected to Wi-Fi. However, when hardwired directly into my router, the experience became much more acceptable. Now, following this test, one thing that this experiment has left me interested in is Xbox does offer the ability for developers to upload apps in order to test them before they go public. And I'm wondering that with that access, could I sideload a Stadia app onto an Xbox? That way, it would eliminate the need for me to have to open Edge every time that I want to play Stadia. But that program does cost money, as Xbox charges a membership for that, so it obviously wouldn't be for everyone, but it's still an experiment that I want to pursue. Anyway, what do you think? Are you impressed that the Xbox Series X can run Stadia? Have you done this test yourself? Where do you think we should get Google Stadia to run next? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hey, thanks again for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, which who wouldn't, hit the subscribe button right there. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Maybe even consider becoming a Nerf Report best friend, just like the people listed down below did. In fact, don't you want to see your name there? I know I do.